Well, hey everyone, welcome back to the Social Media Church podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Magnuson, not joined by my other co-host, Nils Smith today, but I am joined by one of my favorite people. I have not met this person in person yet, but when I listened to Nils interview this person, I think this was a couple months ago, maybe it's almost a year ago now, on the Social Media Church podcast, I instantly connected with this person, followed them, was just so inspired by how they talked about their personal ministry and their understanding of how you should use social media and all of the things that have happened since the last time we have had this conversation with this person. It's just incredible. I'm so excited to reintroduce you guys to L.Michelle. L, welcome to the Social Media Church podcast for the second time.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here for the second time and anytime. And I love your energy.
Yes.
In my crew, they call me like the energy, I guess, measurer. They always say I'm the energy police, if I have to be honest. So anyway, your energy is on fleek. I appreciate it.
Ooh. Love that. Yeah, I that's my goal, is to wake up every day to be on fleek, for my hair to be that way, for my dress to be that way, whatever I'm wearing, just trying to look the part, make sure the energy is there. And it's really hard not to be when you get around an infectious personality like yourself. You guys are in for a treat for this podcast, but I'd be remiss before we hop into this. The reason that we're bringing Elle back, among so many other reasons, it's just the one that I'm most excited about, is that we have a conference coming up. It's our very first conference, Social Media Church, the conference. You guys are very familiar with Social Media Church. You've listened to the podcast for a long time. And if you're new around here, welcome. You've come at a really good time in the life of this podcast. But we decided to take everything that we've learned, all the interviews we've had, and make a conference around it, because we interview nothing but the best and the best thought leaders in this space that are helping you amplify your ministry on social media. So if you want to reserve your spot, you can head over to socialmedia.church/conference. Elle is going to be one of our speakers. We almost have 50 speakers. They're all experts, and they're all going to be talking about something different. And so we're going to touch a little bit on that today. But Elle, before we dive into what you're going to be talking about, and it's kind of all connected, so spoiler alert, anything that comes in the future is really going to be about the talk, because the stuff that you're doing, Elle, is just incredible. And I could go on and on about it. You've been so gracious since we've met to invite me in to this journey as well. You just had me on your show, and it's just a really exciting time to be connected in this way. You're in Florida, I'm in LA, but we are all connected and all doing ministry together, and this world needs it more than ever. Yes. We are in a season where the gospel needs to be spread, and you're doing that in some really unique ways. I do want to set you up. If you didn't listen to the other episode, and I apologize that I don't have the number right off the top of my head. Elle, do you happen to remember what episode number you were on?
I should know. I feel like it was 2 something. I'll find it before we're done. How about that? I'll look it up. I think it was 2 something.
That's great. But you guys need to go back and listen to that, because that's going to make this so much more meaningful. But and if you're watching this on our YouTube page, there's going to be some stuff that Elle holds up and shows. So if you're listening to this, we're so glad you're here. You can also watch this episode on our YouTube channel. Elle, you have glasses on, and they're not just any glasses. And this is the only Elle that I've known. So I don't know a previous Elle before the Snapchat glasses, but you're wearing them all the time. And there's a very specific reason for wearing Snapchat glasses all the time. I feel like with all the new things that have come out, Snapchat has kind of gone by the wayside as it pertains to relevant conversations, but Snapchat is alive and well, ready for ministry. Elle, do you just want to reintroduce yourself to the people who maybe don't know you? And then I want to hear about everything that's been happening with these Snapchat glasses.
This is amazing. First of all, it is number 287 287
Okay, listen to it.
is
Listen to
is the podcast that we did together.
Yes.
But thank you so much. Again, thank you for the opportunity to be here, you and Niels and the entire team at Social Media Church. Since we talked number 287, since then, I think it's amazing that you said you don't know another L outside of the glasses.
I don't.
And
Only the glasses. Iconic.
the glasses, so I'm wearing the Snapchat spectacles. I've been wearing them since the end December 2018. So I've been journaling life through smart glasses every day since December 1st, 2018. But it started really back with Google Glass back in 2014, really, when I started with the first live film that we ever did called The Life Film, where I looked at a year of life and did half of that year through smart glasses, which at the time was Google Glass. When Google Glass came out, it was at a time for me that a mentor to me in the broadcast news industry, which is what I was in, what my education is in as a broadcast journalist, had recently passed away. And the way I understand things or process things spiritually is that, I began to think, if this person has passed away, there's something new that's coming. There's some sort of shift that I need to be making is what I felt at the time. And it was right around that time as well that Google Glass was I had gotten wind of that it was in the market. And I said, I really want to start making films more than I just want to do news stories. I was also in ministry at the time. So storytelling and news stories was kind of my thing. And I brought that into ministry as well. So with the Google Glass, though, what I thought was interesting is the fact that you could record video hands-free. And my whole while in creating story content for news was that it was never hands-free. And also it was never from a true personal POV perspective, because that's not what we were tasked to do anyway. Our job was to be objective and tell both sides of the story. And I know some people say it's three sides usually, but we would tell the two, the main ones. But it was interesting to me to be able to record video hands free, and to take it a step further, to be able to record your life hands free. And so I did that in the first live film. And then it just kind of stopped there. I Google Glass went a more enterprise direction, and I just began to live life more so, but had always been interested in reality shows or documentary, just really interested in life content, as I would call it. So fast forward to now the Snapchat spectacles. I couldn't believe they were so inexpensive compared to what the investment was for Google Glass, and just couldn't believe that this was coming back. And I was thinking about it even more so for making a film. At this time, too, I was getting into immersive media, virtual reality, which is where the concept for what I'll be speaking about at the conference and what I'm about now came about, the concept of story living. So for my entire life, I had really been interested in storytelling, but into immersive media and story living, and me seeing now how the glasses could I knew they could tell my story, but I didn't understand at the time how much more powerful it could be to live my experience until I was exposed to this concept of story living and virtual reality. So in 2016, we got into virtual reality filmmaking and did our first piece, a healing story on Nikki Collins, who at the time was going through a situation where she wanted to capture it on film because she wanted to show just how much God was going to be a healer in this situation. So we used VR cameras to create a sense of
Wow.
presence. We said for testimony, it's one thing to testify. It's another thing for me to experience your testimony. Then a couple of
Right.
years later, I got into the Snapchat spectacles, which then was a combination of Google Glass, also what I was doing with VR. It just all kind of came full circle
Yes.
into what's now known as the 2020 life film, and has now become, even since when we talked in 287,
Yeah.
it was going to be a year life study.
Yes.
No, not even a life
Yes.
study, a year capture. And now
Yes.
it has turned into capturing the decade, with the first journal
my
out, the
God.
first of 10, with one being released every year up until 2030. So
Something you
it's
just said,
been
Elle, really inspired me. You talked about story living, which is a concept that I think is well, it's new for one, and I don't think people have quite looked at what they can be doing online, let alone with Snapchat glasses, lenses, spectacles rather. Well, first of all, is there a difference? Glasses, spectacles, is there something like, is it a new iteration, or
Well,
have they
spectacles
always been
are
called
just,
spectacles?
yeah, they're Snapchat spectacles just by brand name. If you kind of
Okay.
research the term spectacles, it's almost synonymous with glasses in general. So I think the play
Yes.
on words, so, Snapchat
Yeah.
spectacles is their line of glasses that include cameras. Now, I'm quite
Gotcha.
sure by the time we do this interview again, they're working on another iteration of the glasses that will put
Wow.
it more so in the smart glass category, where it will do more than just
Okay.
capture video, but you'll be
Capture.
able to
Right.
do a little bit more. But yeah, the Snapchat
Okay.
spectacles is the name of the actual glasses.
I didn't know if they gave Elle a special. They have certainly given you special treatment since
Yeah.
doing this, because you're utilizing their technology. I didn't know if they gave you some spectacles versus the glasses, but
Yeah, we're working. Hey, I'm working on that. Let me put that out there.
yeah.
To the
Okay. All right. You guys heard it here
my
first.
own line. My own
That's right. So
line.
make sure
before it's all
you
said and done.
stay on point here. Make sure that you're following along with what's going on, and we'll link out to Elle in the show notes. So all the ways you can connect with her. But what is inspiring to me, and even just listening to you talk about it, it really connected some dots for me. You've looked at life completely differently, with how you can leverage technology for somebody else.
Yeah.
And I want you to talk about this. You talked about it in the last episode. In a lot of ways, it was actually for your own self as well. Even though you're literally experiencing life through your own eyeballs, there were things you actually weren't seeing. But you were talking about story living, and never has it been more important in the world we live in to actually understand what it's like to be in somebody else's shoes. And technology has literally given us the opportunity to understand somebody else from their perspective. And it's just that's so inspiring to me. And there's so much negativity around, like, and we've had lots of these conversations, not only on the podcast, but you and I, Elle, but some of the dots that were connected, the privacy invasion of the police not wanting to have body cameras on, and actually seeing situations play out from their perspective. And we see a lot of this stuff portrayed in a very negative light. The only time you're seeing a police body cam is when something bad happens. Rarely are you seeing it when something good happens. But here you are, interjecting into the conversation. Hey, why don't you guys take a look at my life, and your friend wanting to document a really pivotal moment for of an act of God in her own life. Why don't I put this out there? I don't have any problems wearing the glasses. I would love for people to see, you talk about being a brand ambassador for Jesus Christ,
Yes.
and Jesus Christ publicist.
Yeah.
And why don't I tell the story, not from their side, a two-side perspective, but let's actually go there. Let's actually create, what did my side look like? And I think social media has allowed people to do that, to project the very best of their lives, which is
Yeah.
not telling the full story. And so as a journalist, there's a level of frustration that comes along with that. But when I first listened to your interview with Nils, what I heard was somebody who is passionate about not leveraging the vanity side of social media, but leveraging the rawness of social media and taking advantage of that to create authentic, real connection to help people who are going through real stuff in the same way that I am, in the same way that you are. But through your lens. And so I obviously have not bought Snapchat glasses and taken it to that next level. But as you're talking about story living, we have a really unique opportunity as ministry leaders, as pastors, to connect with people through our lens in a really personal, vulnerable way, ultimately allowing people to see Jesus in our lives, expressed on social media. And so, Al, I love how you said story living. I think that's a really unique concept. That'll probably be the title of this episode.
Yeah.
But do you kind of just want to really dive in there and maybe even explain, how did you even think in 2013, to give other people a view and give yourself a new view into your life?
It's just, I mean, everything you said, I'm getting, just so stirred up. And I really want to give credit to the Google News Lab for kind of introducing me to this concept back in 2017 with a whole lab study that they did. And I'll make sure that I really help others dive into this by making that document available on my website. It is certainly open source or public documentation. But the one thing that I think is important to note, we are in a sense story living daily as we're using social media to do that. I think when we first started our talk before the camera started rolling today, we talked about our families. And I said, I saw those pictures of something you just did, and that's amazing.
Yep.
And, my family, not from meeting them in person, but from the content that you see on social media. And I'm all for that. But one thing that I began to see, and not at the time in 2013, but as I've been now in these glasses for more than 900 or so days or something like that, or going on that amount of time, is that a lot of what I was doing was putting out. I was posting. Let me get this post out. Let me do this. Let me do that. I would try to do it with transparency because I believe in that.
Right.
There are all sides of life. But then again, you want to maintain the aesthetic of your feed. We're going to hear a lot of talks about that and how to do it effectively and really engage. And so you get into those things. But at the end of the day, the simplicity of it is we're putting out. But when are we breathing in? I was not breathing in. And so even if in the natural right now, you begin to just breathe out, breathe out, breathe out, breathe out, breathe out, breathe out, breathe out. By the time I keep doing that, if I never take a breath in, I'm going to pass out.
That's right.
And I think that's where we've gotten with the media that we are putting out every time. Oh, I better post. I better do this. I better do that. There's nothing coming in. So this story living, when I first started, I was going to capture the year 2019. It's my 40th year of life, milestone year. We know the year 40 milestone. Okay.
Yes.
So the first 6 months I was recording and then trying to figure out what I was going to post. And I got tired. I said, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. It just seems like now I'm just trying to find another way to put content out there. When I began to turn inward, when I began to look at it, when I began to use the technique that we trademark, immersive journaling, when I began to use the glasses, yes, it's story living is the genre, but it is the immersive journaling technique that brought the healing in that, allowed me to breathe in, to take in this content I was capturing myself. And so I just think that with all the technology we have to have a place or a space where we begin to feel our own impact. And the way I'm looking at this now, with how the glasses are being used, I've been wearing corrective lenses since I was in 3rd grade. and they were to correct my eyesight. At the time, I didn't think about it like that. I just thought I get to wear something that a lot of people don't have. Okay. Later on, I was like, you have to wear these things because they're correcting your sight. Now I have glasses that, yes, the prescription is in there, but the Lord revealed to me, this is now correcting your insight. Before it was just correcting my eyesight. Now it's correcting my insight and what I see of myself. And now my testimony, the story living I'm doing, now allows me to feel my own impact. With storytelling, we're telling our testimony. People are like, wow, that was profound. You really touched me. But we don't feel our own impact because we're just telling you. But when we can go back and story live it and experience it and see what we miss. I missed a lot of things behaviorally. Coming from a background that was very aggressive and abusive, I was missing a lot of things that I would really suspect, had they not been corrected, might have found me in some marriage counseling down the line with me not even knowing why. Yeah. Or might have found my son growing up and saying, you know, the way you talk to me, I felt abused. And I would be like, what do you mean? I didn't even put my hands on you. But it was a nature adjustment that I needed. I needed an adjustment in my nature. I needed an adjustment in my presence. Most of the time I wasn't present. Like I was just thinking about what I was going to say next or do next or how I was going to leverage this, you know, instead of just kind of being in the moment. So I think what story living in this capacity does is it allows you to feel the impact of your own testimony, really begin to experience it yourself. Yes, you went through it, but the healing results of it, sometimes we don't feel. We walk into it, but we don't feel it ourselves. And so sometimes it doesn't resonate like it would if we could. And so the journal for me has been a space to do that. Many of my clips never even make it to social media, which I got to find a balance with that, because then it becomes kind of this exclusive thing, but it is something for me. This is the one thing that's for me to heal. And then I can live out a little better on the networks because I've healed inside, you know?
Oh man, Elle, thank you so much for sharing. I would love to hear from you. Like, it has clearly impacted you. And I think the profound part of that is, if it was only for that, it was worth it.
That's what that's it.
And just incredible that the Holy Spirit gave you that insight. And I'm gonna do some corrective things on the inside because of these glasses, not just some like you talked about your younger self correcting your eyesight. I'm going to correct your insight, which is just an incredibly profound statement. What are some stories of people, because you've actually released this film, 2020 Life film. People can check that out. We're going to link to all of this. And if you're watching on YouTube, you have the journal there, which leads to an immersive journal through augmented reality. Elle, do you just want to talk about the impact that this film has had on others who have gone and experienced this film, of seeing your life?
Well, it just, I think many people say that the transparency helps them to then begin to look at their life in a more transparent way. For others, we've had a batch of people who have gotten the glasses and gone through our coaching and training of how to use this for immersive journaling to just capture their lives like this. We have what's called My Life, MYLF, Making Your Life Film, which was a program that we did. Snapchat partnered with us recently here on it to do it with a group of students, about 6 students. I went through the 6-week program and wore the glasses for 4 weeks and captured their lives. And the things they saw that they didn't see in the moment brought so much healing. one student said she could tell by her surroundings, looking at her room now, when her mental, when she was having mental instability. Like she said, this is something people had told her for years, like, is everything okay? Like, look at your surroundings. She could never see it until she looked back through the footage and said, wow, at that time, I really was at a low point in my life mentally. And now I can see things around me to kind of signal that to me now. So stories like that, just coming out of it. The story of a woman who lost her teen daughter unexpectedly years ago, who goes to the gravesite every birthday, was a part of the program and wore the glasses. She still wears them now, and noticed that she never looks up when she goes to the cemetery. She's always nervous and just looking down at the gravesite. But she said when she looked back at the footage, she noticed that the sun was shining just in such a beautiful way over the gravesite. She said it just reminded me, and this touches me, to look up. Like, it's fine. Yeah. Just look up. Life is continuing and the sun is shining. It's not just confined to this plot that you have to go to year after year and be reminded of what you've lost. And so things like that, stories like that, and many more, people just being able to record in their lives and see behaviors and correct things that they wouldn't ordinarily see. And that's the reason why I started recording at the end of 2019. It was December 31st. I was in the church and I was kind of sad, like, wow, so now I'm going to turn off this consciousness. I said, I just can't. I said, I'm just going to keep going. And look at the year we had. And wow, right. What a time to keep going. We're working currently on volume 2, which will do the pre-release in October and the release of volume 2 itself, which will be the year 2020. It'll release next January. And wow, it's been tough and to go through that footage. But already in the first few weeks of footage, and this is just January I'm looking at now, there have been so many things that I missed then. I've already apologized. And I'm just 2 weeks in. It makes me think, do you wait a year, L, to look at this footage? But the way the model works, we wait so we can live and not just be so preoccupied with what we're going to see. But it now more than ever, my insight is being corrected. Yeah. Wow.
And it starts with us, and that's how God works. That's what you're going to find in the Bible. It starts with us, and then what God does, the transformation in us, is what inspires and ultimately attracts those who don't know Jesus yet to come and know Jesus. And so I just love that this is the technological playing out of such a timeless, spiritual, fundamentally woven into the core of our being principle of how God works in our lives. It's just so cool. Elle, I want to talk about a little bit what you're going to talk about at the conference, just to get people excited about it. But first, just someone has listened to all of this. I can't imagine that they've been anything less than inspired. But I can imagine that they might not know what that next step is. Maybe they're not going to go out and buy glasses. Maybe they are. More power to you. We would love to connect with you. So if you have done that, or if you've been doing that since listening to episode 287, reach out to us. Let us know. But what would your next step be as you encourage ministry leaders to, at the very least, just be more open and transparent on social media and using social media? What would that next step be?
I would say, since I'm really on story living and immersive journaling really as the technique, even if you don't have the glasses, you have tons of content in your phone. If we will try to challenge yourself to go beyond just having a what am I going to post mindset to what am I going to absorb? What can I take in? You took 50 pictures at the last event. You look through it for 30 minutes trying to figure out what's going to be that one that, oh, that's going to get them. No, that's that's it right there. But what can you look through those photos and see that you might have missed? Was there a person who was in that photo who was sitting there with their head down that we totally missed that, except to crop it out? You know, what can we look back at the media that we have currently and see that we might have missed? How can we take that in? How can you begin to feel your own impact? Maybe you go through your own feed for once, not to, look at it so critically, but maybe you go through it to feel a little bit of your own impact and a little bit of the inspiration that you're putting out for others. Have you read your posts lately? Not just for edits. Have you read it for content, to receive it? Maybe instead of putting out so much, what can we begin to receive from the content that we've captured? There is content you have right now that is a part of your life, that is speaking, that is crying out for your attention on a deeper, more healing level.
Yes.
That is right there, that you could begin now. Of course, the personal point of view perspective through the glasses has been mind blowing. But to get started, we can begin to look at those things and begin to journal from there, begin to write down things from there. When someone says something in a conversation, be present and maybe try to later reflect and take some notes about that. Like, wow. I mean, I produce media ministry every week for my church. I'm not ashamed to say I could transparently tell you, I don't know if every week I listen to the message though, but I feel like I got it because I'm right there with Pastor and we're producing it. But have I even felt the impact of that moment? Have I went back? Have you noticed that? If you go back and listen to a message, you'll be like, man, I didn't even hear that at the time.
So good.
So, we can begin to story live ourselves with just the content we have around. And it's okay, leader or even layperson, whoever's listening right now, it's okay as a human being to put a little bit of content out there or capture a little bit of content, even if you don't post it, just to reflect on. Go ahead and capture this. Right. I have this book right here that at the time in this airing, my mom doesn't have this, but she will for Mother's Day. But you know what? Wow. We didn't go out and do these photo shoots. I captured these pictures along the way. I captured these moments along years along the way,
Oh, so
and
good.
I just look at different things. My mom is always, I said in the first film, she's always happy to see me. Look in this picture here. I probably was concerned about angles. You could tell that girl right there had to get that angle. But Mom, if you look closely, is just happy to be there.
Yes.
Mom is just happy to be in the picture.
Beautiful.
If you look at that, she's just, can I get my head in here? I want to just still be a part of your life. I just want to show you Mom's here.
That's right.
Like, that really gets me when I look back at that. But at the moment, it was all angles. Look, let's get this lighting right. And this might not have even got posted because it's a little blurry. But if we go back and look at that, that's live content, man. So.
Yes. Yeah. And so important. I just think that that's what connects with the next generation as well. Yeah. They've just seen so much polished. They want to actually know, who are you and can I trust you and can I understand, can I relate to you? Because the things that I'm feeling inside don't relate to the things I see on your Instagram. But they do relate to, wow, Elle went through this. And her glasses captured this, but I love the encouragement that we all have content and we've all been creating content and we've all captured content. And there's something there for us if we just take an extra second to stop looking at ourselves and look at our surroundings, which is the introspection. That's where we are. Elle, what are you going to be? Can we give a little preview, a little taste of what we're going to be talking about at the conference, Social Media Church Conference? Are we going to be talking about Snapchat? Are we going to be talking about content like capture? What are we going to be talking about?
Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about story living for ministry, reimagining how we testify and use our content to not just win people to Christ, but to win ourselves. Are you winning you? You think I've already been one. Yeah, you have, but you can always put some more wood in that fire. And that's so right. We'll be talking about story living for ministry and feeling your own impact, winning souls and winning you. My gosh. Yeah. And so, of course, we'll be talking about how we're doing it through the Snapchat lenses, and breaking down that process a little bit more. But for me, it's about healing. At the end of the day, it's about being able to feel your own impact. Because you're the first partaker, right? We say that a lot, that's right. And we live opposite. And so, this is now it's about the ministry of life, and that's really what Jesus died for. And I just want to see how we can continue to capture that and win souls and win ourselves as well.
That's right. I think about Elle, what you've reminded me of, and I think what I love most about listening to you talk about your story as it relates to technology. The Bible reminds us that the most powerful thing we have is our testimony, and how our testimony is told in this day and age is very different than it's ever been, because of the tools that we have ever been able to be told in the past. But the power is still there. And so we are doing ourselves a disservice when we don't exercise the abilities and the tools we have to communicate our testimony, which, or even for ourselves to think about our testimony, because we relate, as you're talking about, win yourself first. Look at your testimony. Look at what God has done in your life. Look at how the Holy Spirit has been with you. Win yourself first, and then allow that story to not just fall on you, or not just to be a part of yourself or your family's life, but share that testimony and the power that comes with sharing and the ability that we have to do that. So I'm really excited for you to encourage ministry leaders how they can be doing that story living through ministry, because it's all about the testimony.
It is. And I'll say this because I know our time. When I first really got into media ministry, the Lord gave me one scripture, and I've stood on that. Wow. I think it's always been there, but now more than ever, even in this conversation, it's coming, kind of full circle. And this was in 2003 when I started writing Stories of Faith column. Wow. And it was transparent testimonial too. But that scripture is Revelation 12:11. And so they overcame him, the enemy, by the blood of the Lamb, which we know that's Jesus all day, and the word of their testimony. He didn't say they overcame him by the number of days they went into ministry, by the number of missions that they did, he didn't even say their passion and their love for God. He said they overcame. They could live in perpetual victory by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. Wow. We are going to story live. We're going to story live, and we're going to allow that to win souls and win us. Let's do this thing. Amen. Let's do this.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
If our energy was on fleek when we started, it is certainly everything more now. I'm so excited, Elle.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for this. I'm glad.
You guys, if you're listening, there's somebody that needs to hear this as well. There's somebody that needs to be story living. You have an opportunity to share this episode with somebody that needs to be inspired to start sharing their testimony through
Yes.
social media, start being introspective, and ultimately that starts with you. So you start living it out first, share this episode with them, do it with a friend, follow L. L, where can people connect with you if they want to continue on following your journey and everything you create in the future?
Yes, you can just look me up on any network, L.Michelle Media. You can also visit our website, lmichellemedia.co, and see all about the film. The film, we moved it to a new platform as far as on the web. We are now on Medium, but you can reach the film at 2020lifefilm.com. And so we're collecting our articles and all the assets for it through the Medium platform. We wanted more of a community for that, and to be able to write and live out things in a space where we could go beyond just the web. We could just really begin to wrap our arms around those who want to know about this story living experience. And so, 2020lifefilm.com for that.
That's incredible. L, I am so appreciative for you, for your friendship, and for these moments that we get to have together. You're truly one of my favorite people. And just thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you, everybody.
Well, I hope you guys will go check out the show notes and connect with Elle there so that you can get even more familiar with her as this conference approaches. I'd also love it if you would go to socialmedia.church/conference and claim your spot today. You don't want to miss Elle's talk on story living. It's going to be incredible. And Nils and I, he's not here, but he would certainly sign off on all of this with me, that we believe that if you listen to these thought leaders, almost 50 thought leaders that are going to contribute to this conference, we have seen time and time again other ministries' testimonies that when they implement these things that are talked about, when they implement these best practices on their strategies, on the creative process, and on the different platforms, they see their ministries amplified, more lives who are far from God coming to know God and seeing transformation happen all over the world. And so we're really passionate about bringing you these 50 speakers that you may not have had access to prior to advance your ministry. So this is one of the best investments that you can do. It's all online. It's going to be done over the course of 3 days. Make sure you set time aside. And that's really the only reason we've attached a price to this, is because we found that when people put a little bit of capital towards it, they're more likely to implement. And that's all we care about, is that you take action on the things and on the conversations that you've learned. We're going to continue to have conversations on the Social Media Church podcast. So make sure that you're subscribed so that you get notified each time a new episode comes out. And we know there's lots of people who are still searching Google for Social Media Church, and they're trying to figure out how to do it. And so when you leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts, it's more likely to cross people who are also trying to amplify their ministry on social media. So make sure you take time and do that. Share this with a friend, and we will catch you next time on the Social Media Church podcast.